Public Affairs programming on WQPT is brought to you by the Singh Group at Merrill Lynch, serving the wealth management needs of clients in the region for over 25 years.
The fate of the old Rock Island County Courthouse is decided, so what's next? And a 3rd of July tragedy raises the question, who keeps an eye on the trees in the places like parks and public sites? And how safe is the tree in your yard in the cities? On July 3rd, a huge tree limb snapped, crashing onto spectators who gathered for the fireworks display. And in a moment, who checks on the trees and what should you look out for? And is the emerald ash borer still a problem in our area? But first, it has taken months of discussion, consideration, reconsideration, but the Rock Island County Board has decided to move ahead with the demolition of the current county courthouse with money that was budgeted for the new courthouse annex. The use of that money has been controversial. Actually, virtually every aspect of this project has been controversial in some ways. So how does the county move forward now? And joining us are two people who will help decide that. Rock Island County Board Chairman Ken Miranda, County Administrator Jim Snyder. First off, Jim, welcome to the Quad Cities. We're glad to have you here. You're the new administrator. What's your first feel for the area?
You know, I'm really enjoying the dynamics. There's quite a few activities going on. Obviously, you've mentioned a few of the challenges we've had to deal with here recently and getting up to speed with the staff and with the elected officials. I'm off to a good start, I believe.
And one of the biggest issues, of course, was the county courthouse and the future of that building. And Mr. Chairman, like we were talking, I mean, people were criticizing the county board as kicking the can down the road. You don't really see it that way, but what does this vote that was made this week really mean?
It means moving ahead. Just keep moving ahead is what we should be doing, you know. So that's what the progress we've had in you know, in the past few years. So we just want to keep it moving ahead. We want to move progress ahead.
We're talking about demolition that's going to be costing about $1 million. I know the budget is for more than $1 million. The fact that the money is coming from another location was part of what added to the controversy. You see that there was no other alternative?
No, no. We had the professionals come in and give us their opinion on cost and like you heard something talked about the CGL that was done when we went out for the $72 million for the voters, and it didn't go anywhere. So this was the ultimate decision. We knew voters wasn't going to approve it, and
well, correct me if I'm wrong. The way this went is that it got bonded for this construction of the new annex.
Correct.
Saving some money. I believe the biggest savings was that it was supposed to be one floor taller. Get rid of that 4th floor. That's where that extra money came from. And the idea is, okay, as long as we have this money, why don't we do the demolition?
Correct.
That is basically the whole gist of it.
Correct.
So what's the timeline now?
Well, we're moving ahead now. The PBC will take control and move into the bidding process and the timeline there. But in the resolution or in the IGA, of course, we brought the administrator in to keep the county board, you know, apprised of the movements, and you know, Mr. Snyder met with the building commission here, their monthly meeting, and they're satisfied and they like Jim, and they're going to work with us. So.
Well, Jim, and that's where I want to go next, is that one of the criticisms is the PBC being the Public Works Commission, which is the one that was pretty much behind the funding as well as the building of this annex. Some people thought it has too much power, and it sounds like you want to have a more active role as far as what the PBC does in the future.
Yeah, the thing that I discussed with the chairman and the board was basically to request the opportunity to basically have a seat with the commission members when they meet, not to have any necessarily voting powers, but as a liaison between the board and the Public Building Commission going forward. As the chairman mentioned, we have a demolition RFP that needs to be drafted and needs to be implemented, and also there's aspects of the historical contents of the building. I know that many have expressed concerns about certain aspects of the existing courthouse to be repurposed and some type of memorial on the site, those type of things. So I think it's a healthy thing if the board can still be, I guess, kept in the loop as much as possible, and that's going to be my goal, to kind of be the liaison between the two.
What are the chances of any appeal, whether it's a historic preservation group or some other group that's going to try to block the demolition? I mean, that's not that unusual.
Yeah, you know, I've heard, you know, all types of feedbacks on whatever step would be taken there. Obviously, you know, the legislative body that I work for, the county board, has made a decision, and legally that process has begun. And so I do know that the existing annex facility should be finished in October of this year. The target date to have everyone that can be moved over into that building now is by December. So, you know, here we go with the next phase. So fortunately, I think the board was able to move the thing forward after several months of discussion, which I think is you know, a good thing, you know, resolution. Now we have basically a focus on how we're moving forward, and so we'll do our best to keep everyone informed.
Well, but even the move is proving to be not the easiest job. When you take a look at the county recorder's office, which is filled with archival papers and the such, and we're talking about a great deal of movement. Has that been resolved? Because there was a fear that perhaps there were more problems than you were expecting as far as that move would be concerned.
Yeah, you know, what we're working on now is a engineering study of the second floor of the county offices. That has been a target area for the move for the recorder. We're looking for a structural report from a structural engineer to tell us what it would take to make the second floor structurally sound for those records in that office.
For those people who aren't really familiar with Rock Island County, I hate to interrupt you, is that there's actually two old building, was it Old Modern Woodman building, I believe it was. Yeah, two old buildings. One is the county, a lot of people would call it a county courthouse because that's where the county offices are. Kitty corner from that is the county courthouse where all the court offices are. The county administrative building is going to stay, but that too is a large old building.
It is, and again, once we determine what that cost is, then the board can basically have the information they need to say, okay, let's go ahead and make this site available to the recorder and provide the improvements necessary, or possibly look at a third alternative, which would be an off-site location. So we're just moving forward, I think, in a proper manner. And the board has said to go ahead and move forward with an engineering report, and we should have that in a week or two, and then we'll get that to the board. And this next month's committee meeting cycle, that information should be disseminated and discussed then.
It moves quickly from this point is basically what you're saying.
That's my goal.
Yeah. Chairman, how important is this to get this off of the agenda for Rock Island County? I mean, you've got a lot of issues ahead of you. The decision on the county courthouse kind of clears your administrator's desk a little bit.
So this is going to free up Mr. Schneider into the budget cycle that we're going to move. Our first meeting is the first of the month, and then focus a little more on the Hope Creek area and not bring
well, I'm bringing it up if you don't.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
But let's talk about that. Before we get to Hope Creek, let's talk about the budget process.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a critical one because this is the first one you have with the city administrator. Sorry, county administrator once again.
Once again.
Yeah,
yes.
exactly.
So anyway, but like I said, it's something that Jim's going to dig into now with both feet and. Both spurs, I should say.
Yeah, absolutely. You're going to have to.
Anyway, yeah. So
is it going to draw some blood? I mean, when you're looking at
this is really a good thing to put to rest, so Mr. Schneider can
concentrate.
Study on or concentrate, like you said, on the the things that are upcoming and going to be real tough issues.
Because this is really a huge weight that's on Rock Island County. I mean, you know exactly the finances that this county's faced. You knew that when you were applying. You were probably sitting there going, oh, what am I going to get into? But I think I'm the guy that can solve the problem.
Well, actually, I don't see myself as the person to solve the problem. I see myself as someone that can contribute to the staff that's already in place. And one of the things that impressed me about the position when researching and taking time to do my due diligence, the audit staff, April Palmer, her staff, the county treasurer, the support staff that is in place in the administration office and department heads, we have a lot of professional people, very competent, very talented. April Palmer has just won another award for her budget with the GOA, and so without those people in place, competency and proficiency, there is no success. So if I can provide, some nurturing, encouragement, some perspective that hopefully will, guide us going forward, that's my goal.
But is the top concern, Mr. Chairman, what's going on with Hope Creek? I shouldn't say top, but one of the most pressing concerns you now have would be the future of Hope Creek.
No, it's 160 years old around that area, so it's been around a long time. But
yeah, the
with the
facility
new
isn't,
facility,
of course, yeah,
and,
exactly.
and some of the things that happen statewide, and maybe this newer facility that's being built and opening up soon, and so it's just a guessing game of survival, I guess, is what the key is. But I think we're doing well. That staff is really doing well.
Do you always point to the state as the biggest problem as far as Hope Creek? And also there's been a point, because we talked about that in this show in the past, is that, whether it's the media or whatever, you get this reputation as well that there's uncertainty at the very least, and that's helping, actually not helping hurt, but it's hurting admissions.
Well, and that's a toss of the coin. Some people feel that way and some people think that way, and of course if you get some bad press or whatever, it's a question of whether a person's going to drive in there and walk around and put their loved one in there. And so, but there again, back to the state, there's a little backlash there that we're trying to catch up with, and of course, we've had them two operators in there, the people that we hired to run the facility,
the administrators and such. Yeah.
Well, it was the firm,
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
HDG was in there, and so, but there again, there's questions about, their staff and how they was doing the billing and stuff, but we've really got some top-notch people in there right now.
So you're satisfied with that now?
Yes, and we're showing progress.
And it's under the purview of the county administrator now in more ways than before. Is that an area of focus that you've taken? Is how can we improve upon that, or does Hope Creek, and I should tell people that aren't familiar, Hope Creek is the county-run nursing center. Used to be a home of last resort, but I'm not exactly sure if you'd say that anymore. But is that something that you're focusing on right now because you are concerned about its operations, or do you think that light's at the end of the tunnel and we're getting to the progress that we want?
Absolutely, it's my focus. One of my key focus. Going forward, coming from a county that owned a nursing center similar to this, dealing with the same challenges. Medicaid payments from the state are very slow. All nursing homes are dealing with that, and so I'm very familiar with the dynamics of the challenge of staffing because of the shortage of nurses, the dynamics of the funding sources of Medicaid patients, Medicare and private pay, and trying to develop the private pay and those areas that do pay at a more timely basis. I think one of the biggest challenges that I see is the fact that we're 10 years into a 20-year mortgage on the home itself. And so, we are burdened with that. And so that basically strains our financial operations. So if we can take the time to work through some of the challenges we're facing now and allow me to, to put my eyeballs on a lot of the operations the next several months, look at different ways to, I guess, drill down on some efficiencies maybe we're not doing now. But more importantly, to really begin to look strategically long-term and understand that in a matter of time, a reasonable amount of time, that debt will come off the books. So our cash flow and our operational positive cash flow ability will be much greater when that occurs. So, it's easy to get caught up in the short-term challenges, but this home's been there a long time. There's a lot of valuable people there, and it does provide a service to the community. And so I think the respect is due to continue to work the process through and to provide the board information so they can be clear on the future health of the home going forward. And so that's my goal, is to provide that level of clarity and information and to drill down on those issues for them.
Number one goal for the next 6 months would be what for you?
I guess the budget. Obviously, this is the first budget process, and we definitely have cash flow challenges. We've done a good job of internally managing our cash flow issues with our risk management funds and redistribution of those expenses. Again, our staff is excellent. I cannot be more appreciative of their attitude toward me and willingness to allow me to work with them and to get up to speed on all these challenges, and I'm looking forward to it.
New Rock Island County Administrator Jim Snyder, Rock Island County Board Chairman Ken Miranda, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
You bet.
Well, still ahead, making sure your trees are healthy and making sure the trees on city lands are safe as well. But first, Laura Adams is not sick of summer in any way. In fact, she has a whole host of ideas you might be interested in if you head out and about.
This is Out and About for July 16th through 22nd. Hi, I'm Laura Adams. Don't miss all the fun and activities going on during this year's Rock Island County Fair, July 17th through 21st. Or check out the Princeton, Iowa Summerfest, July 20th and 21st. In Walcott, it's the Walcott Day and 5K Run featuring family fun for everyone on the 21st. The Musser Public Library is the location for the Friends Forever 5K Run in Muscatine on the 21st. While the Henderson County Fair in Stronghurst, Illinois is the place for Western Illinois' most action-packed figure eight racing. Or visit Laura's Days at the Nelson Pioneer Farm and Museum in Oskaloosa, July 17th through 19th, for family-friendly activities inspired by the life of Laura Ingalls Wilder. Outwit, outplay, and outlaugh comedians stranded on Improv Island as they compete until only one survives at the establishment on July 20th. The Knockoffs will perform at Mercado on 5th, July 20th, or help paint Floreciente's newest mural, July 20th and 21st. Minus 6 performs at Moline Center's Thursday night summer concert series, while Tennessee Williams' classic drama Glass Menagerie is performed by the Mississippi Band Players at the Bruner Theater through the 21st. The ABBA-inspired musical Mamma Mia opens at Circa 21 in Rock Island, while the final Bucktown Review Summer Series concert will be July 20th at Trinity Anglican Church in Rock Island. For more information, visit wqpt.org.
Thank you, Laura. July 3rd, 2 men died after a tree limb on the grounds of the Rock Island County Courthouse snapped, falling on them and 5 other fireworks spectators. What can we learn from such a tragedy, and what should you look out for to make sure your trees are healthy? And joining us is the city arborist for Davenport, John Vance. John, thanks so much for joining us.
Hi, Jim.
We were talking is that when something like this, a tragedy like this happens, I'm sure you got notified by a bunch of people. What are you doing? What are you doing? But let's be honest, for an arborist and for any city or county, this is kind of an ongoing maintenance issue.
It's what we do every day, yeah. We look at it. Our phone is definitely ringing a lot more now than it was 3 weeks ago.
Seemingly it's an act of nature. I mean, it's hard to tell exactly how healthy every tree is, isn't it?
Right, right. The xylem looks like it was gone. You know, I didn't get a real good look at the tree, but
the xylem being
the heartwood.
Okay,
you know, that's one that gets hollow. But the phloem was still intact, and the phloem is what is transferring most of the nutrients in water, granting it to look healthy.
Right.
You know,
is it ever possible that I mean, because I think a lot of people look at a tree and go, oh my gosh, that thing's rotted, it's going to die. Or the fact that it doesn't have any leaves obviously is an issue. I mean, there's some obvious things.
Yeah.
Are there less obvious things that you look for?
Well, I guess it depends on who's looking.
Yeah.
We always look for included bark and just structure, branching structure, crossover branches that are too close together.
But trimming and observation of trees, that's just an ongoing thing.
Yes, we've actually been in a big oak tree up in the bucket just for a regular pruning and noticed defects and wound up taking the whole tree down.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the people that, you know, are adjacent to the property are surprised. And we've taken video with our cell phones, came down and showed them. I said, this tree's going to fall apart.
Yeah, and sometimes that's the only way you can find out is up in a bucket. I mean, getting above there and taking a look.
Right.
And there's just a couple trees that you're responsible for at Davenport, is there not? Let's talk about the ash borer. The emerald ash borer has been a major issue. It forced eradication efforts throughout the city and throughout all of the cities. What's the status right now?
Our current inventory has about 3,500 ash trees that we're responsible for.
Compared to what it was before was?
Well, that's what our inventory was at the start.
Okay, all right.
But that does not include streamways, and forested
Sure.
areas that just aren't counted.
So 3,500 is our number.
Yeah,
And
those are
then-
in the streets and golf courses and parks. And we haven't got through quite half of them yet, but we're making really good progress.
And when you say haven't gotten through, you're talking about total eradication right
Yes,
now.
yes.
There's, because I mean, for the homeowner that loves their ash tree, there is a treatment, but it's ongoing and expensive, is it not?
It is. It has, the best treatment is at least every 2 years. And we have given homeowners the option to treat their trees. Once we send notice that we're cutting it down, they don't want to. And the bill is on them at that point.
Have you seen a lot of the disease, or is most of yours preventative?
Oh, no, it's out there, especially in all the green ashes. I think it's a pretty safe statement that every green ash is infested right now. It's in every neighborhood of Davenport.
Is that so?
Yeah.
And
you can
what-
drive down Locust Street or Brady Street and you can just see it.
I mean, it's so tragic because people love the ash trees, and we had the elm trees. I just remember Dutch elm disease when I was a kid, and you just saw trees lost everywhere. I mean, it seems to be a horrible resource that all of a sudden trees that you absolutely loved as a kid or as an adult, it's just the whole species is wiped out.
Yes, ironically, we are replanting with disease-resistant elm varieties.
So that, okay,
Yeah.
for the elm varieties,
Yeah.
okay. And right now there is no real disease-resistant ash, right?
Not at this time.
So what is I mean, if a person has to get rid of a tree, or if they're going to plant, and I know it depends upon the shade and other things, what trees are you recommending homeowners, and what trees are the city actually trying to use
We've
more
been
of?
using some Kentucky coffee, an espresso variety, which is supposed to not produce the seed pod. So unfortunately, not everyone told the tree that it wasn't supposed to.
Yeah, right.
Once in a while, they'll kick out a few of those. A lot of tulip poplar, some hackberry here and there. We're trying to tone down our maple inventory, so we'll still plant some maple, but not as much as we would in the past. Everybody loves their maples. You know,
Yeah.
they're pretty
Any particular reason why you're trying to cut back? You just don't want to rake?
Well, and you know, right behind us could be Asian longhorn beetle. You know,
And that's a maple infestation.
well, maple's their favorite. They'll eat other things. You know, Japanese beetle loves our linden trees. We just bought some a variety that was supposed to be resistant to Japanese beetle, and I'm not going to buy any more of those.
Is there a natural way to repel them? I mean, the problem is that sometimes we introduce other insects to get rid of other insects, and it just seems to domino on us.
We're going to step up our insecticide applications a little bit, and I don't like spraying. I don't like asking people to spray, especially when you get into bigger trees and you see people up in a bucket with all that safety gear on, and if it's not good for them, you know, it can't be good for the rest of us. So we've done like some trunk injections by request, but we may step it up a little bit next year and do a little more.
What do you kind of suggest for the homeowner? What type of trees do you like that, like you said, I mean, you're obviously looking into when the seeds drop or whether some leaves drop, you know, as far as maintenance is concerned, both in the spring and in the fall. Really depends upon where you live and what you...
Yeah, right tree, right spot.
Yeah.
Right tree, right location.
And we're talking about the eradication of trees. Tell me about the planting of trees. I mean, that's an ongoing process as well. How many trees do you hope to plant this coming year?
This year we're hoping to hit 1,000 trees, which will be a pretty high mark for us.
That really is a lot of trees when you think about it.
We've got, by the end of the week, we will have put 400 in this year so far. But we're going to slow down now during the hot season and pick it back up in the fall.
And is that generally a traditional annual thing? Is that you get
Generally,
like 500 to 1,000?
normally what we do is 350 to 500, but we don't like the fact that we're cutting down more trees than we're planting, so we're going backwards.
But for right now,
Yeah.
this is going to be aggressive until what? Emerald ash borer is eradicated.
Well, I'd be happy with trees in front of every house.
John Vance, arborist from Davenport. That's what I'd expect you to say. Thank you very much for joining us. We do appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
WQPT is doing its part to support the military men and women in the cities who are serving our nation. We call it Embracing the Military, and there's another opportunity for new employees and service members to better know the cities. Army MWR is hosting its next newcomers orientation and bus tour. It's July 26th, starting at the Arsenal Clubhouse, and you reserve your spot because space is limited. Just call the MWR office on Arsenal Island. On the air, on the radio, on the web, and on your mobile device. Thanks for taking some time to join us as we talk about the issues on the cities.
Public Affairs programming on WQPT is brought to you by the Sing Group at Merrill Lynch, serving the wealth management needs of clients in the region for over 25 years.